How do you like stem apples?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We got week 2 of our podcast. Just as a brief recap, I started classes last Thursday. So I've had 3 days in the books. And Dr. Miller, today is your first day.
They're coming.
Yeah, they are. You get all the kids today.
Yes.
So excited for you. But before we get to that, I want to know, how did your district meetings and how was that prep week? How was it for you?
Oh, it was great. Honestly, this is probably the most time that we've been given to work in our rooms and get things prepped of my career.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice because now we really feel like we're ready to go. And then meetings, I mean, there's some that are really important, some that are like, all right, what am I going to work on here?
But in education, I feel like every teacher at this point is like, could you send an email?
Yes.
Could you have just sent an email?
Or this is a great meeting. It doesn't apply to me.
Right. Oh, that's good for the coaches.
Yes.
Staff needs to hear that. Yeah.
Duly
I don't
noted
care
if I
that the
start doing
kids. Yeah, the kids need their physicals. I get it. Yeah. Oh, that's too good. So what's one big takeaway you had from your district meetings? What's something that you found that you're going to try and apply in your classroom this year?
Well, I'm glad we talked about that last week because there was a meeting with every district. They're going on to different initiatives. Ours is kind of like what we've experienced at our previous one, in the fact of your diploma is not enough, and so you need to have more.
Yeah.
A lot of districts are going this way. Ours has been doing that for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Let's talk about finding ways to get students to do things with the community or get more experiences. For me, mine is the college credit side because I teach college credit. So they're getting some of their college out of the way. And so this is a lot more about having projects with everybody else. And in my mind, I'm sitting there like, chemistry, can't really have a project with an outside person. Okay. And so instead of doing what we normally do, I'm just like, all right, what else can I work on? Let me clean out my email. Let's do this other stuff.
Yeah. Let me check. Let me do another mock fantasy draft real quick.
Exactly. I thought about, okay, we wanted to find something good to take from the meeting.
Yeah.
And so I got thinking, and I'm sitting here like, all right, what can I do? And I started looking back I started thinking about my roster for this year. My college classes have gone up from previous years, and it went down because of COVID.
Right.
And while it's growing, I know I had like 10 to 15 students last year who were like, I like you as a teacher. I don't want to take your class because it's going to be too hard. So I don't want to take that college credit, but I am going to college.
Interesting.
And that's like, yeah, that kind of doesn't sit well with me. So like, how can I figure out something to make, because these are students I want to see again. I like my students, so I want to see them again.
Right.
I don't like the one and dones. And so I started investigating. The college chem that we do is the first semester of chemistry in college. It's general chemistry 1.
Yeah.
Well, that's for people that are going to go into a scientific field or maybe a health field that they have to take this as prerequisites for getting into another school.
Yeah, any bachelor's of science is going to have some sort of science in the lab.
Well, actually, almost every degree, the general education requirement for almost every college, you have to have a lab-based science.
Right.
And some of them even say you have to have a physical science and a life science, like a biological science. So you must have to have 2 labs. Why can't I tailor something to be towards the non-majors? Our math department has it. We have a non-major biology class for college. Why can't we do one for chemistry?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I know there's some schools that have it, and I'm looking into, can I have another chemistry class that would be kind of like our biology and our math one, that would be allow those students to take college credit who know they're not going into a science field, because not everybody's science minded. We know that.
Right. But still get them that lab credit.
Get them the lab credit before they get out of here. And in my mind, instead of taking a geology course that they may not care about, have them take one with have them take a class with me where they know me, and I can actually feel like, in my opinion, I can give them something that I know they can use.
Right. Oh, I love that. Oh
So
man, that's good.
that's on my list of investigating, trying to get those, maybe some stuff worked out before
Yeah.
the November-ish deadline of new classes for next year.
Oh, that's so cool. That's powerful stuff because you're going to start reaching more kids that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's and obviously that's why we did it. I saw something yesterday on it was on Twitter. I don't do the tweets. I'm not an Xer, but I noticed like on my news feed this Matt Damon interview from like 2011 popped up where Matt Damon was talking about a reporter asked him, you're in a field where you're incentivized to work hard so that you have a job. Wouldn't that be good to incentivize teachers to work hard to have a job and get rid of tenure? And he just looked at him. He was like, I'm not an actor for the money. I'm an actor because I'm passionate about being an actor. Teachers are teachers. They're not going to go through all of the explicitives just to get a paycheck. They do it because they want to teach. They do it because they're passionate about their community. They're passionate about teaching. And I was like, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. And so that's powerful stuff when I hear you talk about, trying to come up with ways of reaching more kids. That's it's fantastic.
That's exactly why we spent all that money trying to save him from Mars.
Right. So we got to bring him back. The potato man needs to come home. There's only so much potatoes and ketchup you can handle. That's too funny. So my week last week, I had 2 days on Thursday, Friday with the kids, the first 2 days of school. I did this. Now this is okay. Hang on. I gotta show you. My wife and I got this board, this card game. All right, it's called Let's Get Deep. Questions for couples. Right.
Oh,
I need to be very clear. There are some adult themed questions.
okay. So not everything for school.
Correct. You can't just like buy a new pack and whip.
Let's see.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
If you're going to do this, I suggest that you read through and filter. Some of them get pretty inappropriate. A lot of things that you don't want to ask students. What's the first time you knew that I was the one? That's not something you want to ask your students, right? So anyways, so I went through and I filtered it out to get just like the icebreaker, like those. And I did rapid fire, right? I said lightning round just to kind of get the kids off their toes for the first day. And then day 2, I did an introduction to game theory. It's Prisoner's Dilemma, if you've ever heard of Prisoner's Dilemma. But the way I present it, I got these kids thinking about how can they become team players. And I mathematically showed them that it's more beneficial to them if they are a team player. They're going to get more out of it, right? So if I do what's best for you in our podcast, that's going to ultimately be what's best for me, right? Because if our podcast, just us as a partnership, if I do it for myself, then that's not going to benefit you in any way, and our podcast can't grow to be the best it could possibly be, right?
Correct.
And if I do what's best for you, then I know, or for the team, not you specifically, but if I do what's best for the team, then we are going to grow, and ultimately I'm going to grow because of it, and I'm going to get more out of this experience if I do what's best for the group, right? And so that's kind of it. We used examples like Patrick Mahomes taking, not being the highest paid annually, giving money to the team. He's, being a team player leads to more Super Bowls, which leads to more more commercials and other money like that. So that's one instance of being a team player benefiting yourself. On Main Street here in Osawatomie, it's a small town, so when I say Main Street, literally it's a block of Main Street, right?
The street.
It is that street, yeah. So there's a market. There's like what's called Palace Market. It's like a breakfast place that has little sandwiches and it's a butcher shop, and they got all sorts of stuff going on. And then across the street they open a coffee shop, right? Which is just like on Wednesdays, but the new coffee shop is just taking donations for their coffee. And the business that's across the street it's a business. They're trying to make money. So if they worked in together as a team, they could build Main Street. But if one of those businesses is being selfish, then it's going to tank the other one. And if you tank one, then ultimately that's not going to be what's best for Main Street. So like we looked at it in all sorts of different angles. We looked at it from business. We looked at it in like if you don't even do your chores at home, like if you're not doing your chores at home, it can take the family. But if you do your chores at home, it can lift the family. And if the family's happy, ultimately you're happier, right? So
Yes.
lots of little ways that we looked at it. Obviously sports plays a big role in team building and stuff, but so that was the big lesson on Friday, and it went over really well. I was really excited. And then starting yesterday was our first day with material, and just cracked open the book, like that day one, write your name on the book, like got through all of that Google Classroom jargon and stuff. And I wanted to tell you this. So my district started a position for an instructional coach, and we've never had one in this district before. We had one at Harmon. We had a building instructor. I had like 2 building instructional.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, big districts get all the good stuff. No, but so we got this instructional coach, and I over the summer I said, I'm kind of at that like young veteran stage, right? We've been in the biz, what, 7-8 years, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And we're just kind of like, we're at that like young veteran status where we're still wanting to grow. And I told her, I said, listen, I want to be coachable. If I want my students to be coachable, I need to be coachable. So I'm opening myself to you in any way, shape, or form. She's like, great. And then yesterday, so during my first day of classes, she came in the first 2 or 3 hours and just 5-minute little walkthroughs. And then she came and sat down for my 6th hour class. And then at the end of the day, she leaves me a note. And on our first couple of walkthroughs, she came over to me and she was like, hey, try this, this, and this. All right. So I tried it in my next few hours. And then when she came back in my 6th hour, I had already put it into the repertoire. And so I was like, look at me being coachable. I'm so excited. And that note she gave me back, it still had constructive criticism. I mean, it still had really good feedback, but it was awesome to have somebody that's finally like looking at me as a teacher and trying to find ways to make me better. And so I just really wanted to share that. It was a huge celebration for me on my end.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Really, really big. All right. So
by the way,
yeah.
This is year 9. We're almost to double digits.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh man.
However, we by moving places, we got rid of our 10 and 5 rights.
We are 10. What do you mean? Say that again.
In baseball, in Major League Baseball, 10 years in the league, 5 at the same one.
Oh,
the same team. We're not there yet.
No, you're right. Still haven't stuck around long enough in one spot.
So we don't have our no trade clause.
Close. So what is so today's your first day with kids?
First day, they'll be here in like a half hour.
That's so exciting, man. This is what we this is why we do it. So what are you looking forward to the most for today?
Well, there's a lot of things to look forward to, but It's just obviously seeing the new faces. Unfortunately, my classes are a little smaller than normal, so having a smaller class size is going to be a little bit different. But looking at about 12, just because we had an extra chemistry course or extra chemistry section, so classes got smaller. Seeing the new people, seeing the ones that I've seen in the halls previously, and be like, oh, I know who you are. That's your name.
Gary.
And then it's kind of like, because the math and chemistry, the sciences have a stigma of this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And so the big thing of the next couple of days is doing what's right behind your head right now. That we can do hard things.
Oh, this guy. Yeah.
Yes. So that's my outlook on this is every year, like we've talked about this, of why math? Why do I have to take chemistry?
Right.
And now it's going to be for some students, this is going to be the easiest course they've ever had because it's not a hard course.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not a hard course.
Right.
But some will come in and never. I don't remember studying for this class in high school because it was just easy for me.
Right.
There's classes I had to study everything I could. There's gonna be students that were that way.
Yeah.
But for everybody, it's why do I have to take this? Because to prove to yourself you can do something hard.
Yeah. We can do hard things.
You can do hard things.
Yeah. We can do something that gets us a little uncomfortable and helps us grow.
Yes.
You sent me a text yesterday. You're working on trying to talk to some chemists, and I'm just so excited for you because I know you're getting uncomfortable.
Yes, this is putting me outside of my comfort zone a lot.
And I love that because you can now use this as a way to relate to your kids who are going to be outside of their comfort zone today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning and I had 2 responses already.
Already.
Hey! And I saw they were from them. I'm like, oh dear, I don't want to click on it. I don't want to click. I don't want to say. and while one of them was, hey, can't do it. Thanks. I'm like, hey, you know what? I put it out there.
Right.
And another one's like, talk to me in a month. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
So it'll get easier.
It will.
And that's why I appreciate you pushing me to do this, because it's gonna make me better.
Yeah. And I appreciate you pushing me, to be consistent, to be a little more concise, and to have these weekly conversations. I really look forward to them throughout the week. And as the week goes on, I'm like, I want to tell Dr. Miller about this. So, like, I can't wait to talk to Dr. Miller about, what this is going to happen, so like, that's, I really appreciate this, this mutually beneficial, experiment that we're doing, under the guise of a podcast, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We're doing something productive for us.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All 7 people that accidentally caught on to this thing, I feel bad for them. I didn't get anything out of it, but they sure did.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's too funny. I can see like our kids like 35 years from now, like, going through this school year with us and like, gosh, our dads are idiots.
Oh, don't worry. I'm saving this for weddings.
That's really good. All right. So when are you going to start doing your, when are you going to introduce your first chemist for the chemistry bracket?
That's tomorrow. Today's
really?
Yep. Oh yeah.
You're getting after it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we got to get kind of like the syllabus, like expectations, kind of like get situated. Yeah. And then tomorrow that's when I'll give out the textbooks. I have a student questionnaire I like them to do, which I always have. We always have those random questions on there. Just they get to know you.
Yeah.
Things that help me understand you. And then my favorite is I always do the because I'm a big Office fan. Deserted Island.
Right.
So you can bring a book, a movie, and a TV series. Yeah. What would you bring? So I could see how many things I've never heard of. Or that's a bad choice.
Yeah. Ooh,
this year, the question I've added on is got talking to one of my other friends and talking about when I played baseball and like, hey, what was your walkout music?
Oh, that's
cool. So I'm going to ask them if they had an entrance music for whatever it was. Like if they walked into this room. Oh,
yeah.
Hey, we're doing a Bulldog schedule today, by the way. But what is all right, go to this. Go to the comments if you're doing your A+ hour.
Okay.
But if you were to have an entrance music, like if they were walking in the room and the music started playing, what would be theirs? And so I'll show them what mine was in college, and they can see kind of just to see, gives you a background on who you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I love that. I'm the PA guy for our football team, right?
Yes.
So I do that for football and basketball. I absolutely love it. It's fun. I like to make it fun for the kids, and
I do miss our times at Harmon where I was scoreboard. You were doing that. Those are some of the best times.
Those are like it is so beneficial to me if somebody else has a sense of humor. Right? So like if I'm sitting next to somebody who does the scoreboard who is a square, like a straight L7 weenie, I have a difficult time because like the moment the mic goes off, I'm telling every joke I possibly can just to have a good time. And so if the mic goes off and I'm telling jokes and the other person doesn't respond, it just sucks. It's hard. But this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to download an app on my phone. So I downloaded a soundboard on my phone. So when you said walkout music, this one came to mind. This is Tango del Fuego by Parav Stellar. I love this song so much. It just cracks me up, man. So little things like that I'm going to be playing throughout the song, throughout the games and stuff. So he said walkout music. I was like, that's brilliant. Oh, that's such a good one. That's a really good one. So who's the first competition in the bracket this year? Who's the first pair?
I'll do books tomorrow. I'll help them fill a questionnaire, and then we'll also do this. And so tomorrow it's going to be I had to figure out how I was going to introduce it. So I think I'm going like down one side, up the other, and then the other would start in the middle. So I'm not just jumping around. I'm going to do one from each side, and then kind of go around.
Yeah.
So we're starting with the early chemists, and one that might be easy for them to kind of understand. And I think I know how it's going to go, but it's going to be Alfred Nobel.
Oh yeah.
Versus Emil Erlenmeyer.
Erlenmeyer.
Okay. Emil Erlenmeyer came up with something called the Erlenmeyer flask. So it's the Nobel Prize money guy versus a flask.
Right. the greatest prize you can win in chemistry, or that
flask
that your uncle tastes. That thing that your uncle won't let you touch at the wedding.
So
no, it's not that kind of flask.
No, exactly.
Let's be clear. I'm no chemist, but I'm pretty sure that's not the same.
This is not one you'd want to hide in your coat.
No. Tell me it's like 3 liters big or something humongous.
Oh, we can have a 3-liter one. Usually the ones we'll use are 250 milliliters. So
okay. All right. That's funny.
But it's one that just to get an idea, and I have a feeling I know who's probably gonna win.
Yeah.
But then
who should win?
Should win. Right. Nothing against Emil Erlenmeyer, but Nobel kind of came up with some.
I appreciate you taking your bias out as much as possible. I don't hide my bias when it comes to some of these mathematicians. I don't hide my bias.
Well, and then I don't know if I'll get 2 in this week, but might. Otherwise, the next one I think is Marie Curie.
Now, okay, the name sounds familiar, right?
So Madame Curie.
And here's what I know. Let me give my background, and then I want you to hit me back with some corrections, okay? I was at the Linda Hall Library this summer with a couple of students doing research on Euclid. And as we're walking out, the curator goes, "Yeah, we have one of Marie Curie's notebooks that she wrote in." And he goes, "No, it's not radioactive." And I was like, "Okay, all right. I got questions. I got lots of questions. Where's my Dr. Miller?"
I'm north.
Right. So did she discover radiation, or did she enhance our use of radioactive materials?
Well, she didn't necessarily discover radiation itself, but was able to come up with, basically discovered 2 elements that have radioactivity. And so by isolating them and having the pure substance, she was able to work with it that way. And then by having that much together, the radioactivity was really was dangerous at that point.
So she basically is the
she helped coin the phrase too, I believe.
Radioactive?
I think so.
Okay.
That's something I gotta go back and
without
check.
her, we don't have nuclear anything.
It would have came along at some point. Somebody would have put it together. I mean,
But she
she was a big part. She was a big founding of it.
okay. What materials? Like,
Well, radium is the one, and then polonium, which they named after Poland, where she was from.
which is different than plutonium.
That is correct.
Yeah,
It's not from Pluto.
I wish that you didn't. I wish that you didn't name things the same. Plutonium is this
Plutonium, polonium.
polonium? Yeah, it's all the same. I'm kidding. I know it's important to you.
Right. Reminds me of some of my answers I've had in past of if you give them an element symbol, what's the name of it? Those are some of my more funny ones to have fun. Some answers can't be described. Can't be discussed.
Like Fe is iron. That makes no sense.
That's right.
So in my math bracket, I'm going to do all the 1 and 16, 1 and 16, 1 and 16, 1 and 16, and then I'm going to go 2 and 15. And I work it until we end up towards the middle. So my first 1 and 16 is Archimedes versus Chang Sang. Archimedes, and this is in the ancient category. Archimedes is, he's the GOAT, right? Like he's got 7 Super Bowl championships, right? And Chang Sang what he did was actually really impressive. So it's like 600 BC. He put together a book of all the known Chinese mathematics at the time with over 950 problems. And those problems, if you could solve the entire Chang Sang book, you would launch yourself into fame and fortune in China in mathematics. So his book was kind of it was the textbook in China for 1,000 years at least. And so it's like really cool. He collected all the ideas at the time. And I'm not doing him a very good disservice in that 2-sentence description, but that's kind of the basics of it.
Yes.
So that's our first one. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for next week, see who wins and see who moves on and see what your kids are going to do with it.
It's one of those that I remember the feeling I had when I first introduced it at Harmon. It was like a set of nerves, like, is this going to work? And then it just snowballed. And I think we had our open house and some students came in and looked at it and go like, what is that? And do we have to do that? And I was like, you get to do this.
Right.
And they're like,
that's so dad. That's such a dad move. I love it. Thanks, Dad.
The problem is I've given them no context, so they have no idea what's going on. So
right. So I mean, for all they know, they're gonna have to eat the elephant in one bite.
Yeah, they're like, we have to write a report over all of these people. Yes.
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Yeah, I want a 5-page report on each one of those on my desk by Tuesday, please.
And then in the next round, you'll have to write another report of why they're better than the next person.
Right. And then for the final round, I need a 2-hour documentary on their lives.
And invite them to come join the class in person.
Correct.
They died 200 years ago. I don't care.
It's fine. You're gonna have to figure it out. Do you want to pass my class or not? You want to go to college? Do you want a life? Do you want a future? I'm just kidding. That's too funny. I hope people know that we're joking. That's not something we would ever do. What last thing, and then we gotta welcome.
I got students here in a few minutes.
So what is your focus for this week? What's your big focus this week to help yourself? Like, what are you going to be doing to try and become a better educator this week?
Well, I mean, we're all about getting everybody used to the class and getting everybody kind of incorporated that this is a journey for a year.
Right.
And so, like I said, that the saying you have behind you is that we can do hard things. My focus is to get them to understand this is going to be hard.
Sure.
But you can do this. This is going to help show you in the future you can do hard things. And so focusing on just building the students up, saying, no, it's going to be hard.
The foundation.
They can do this.
Yeah. Yes. Like with an emphasis on set your mind to it and move forward. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My goal this school year, I wrote 2 goals on my board. One for state scores, because for my entire journey up until this year, I have not cared about it at all. And this year, in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? Let's look at data. Let's just try it. what's the worst that could happen, right? We accidentally mess around and raise our state scores. Oh, my bad. That would be a feather in the hat, right? So like, let's give it a go. And the big one here is to build a growth mindset. I want my kids to really be focused on walking into my classroom, being open to the possibility of becoming a better person. And I've been on that. I don't know how many times I've had to say that. Just be open to the possibility of being a better person. Because if I can get them to at least accept that they might become better, then they might accidentally, mess around and become a better person. So
that's terrible. That's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been my big emphasis, and really establishing those norms, like you were talking about, getting that classroom routine that once you get them to put one foot in front of the other, then we can start to teach them how to climb. So I appreciate that. That's awesome. All right, Dr. Miller, you're amazing, my man.
You are too.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to get a hold of us for any reason whatsoever, how can they reach us?
How do you like STEM apples at gmail.com?
You got that right.